Decisive nerf this hero has
Alright, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, perlawanan pertama EWC MWI
It's the player. So if
World punya tournament Navi MWI menentang Gaimin Gladiators sama kita saksikan perlawanan pertama di
And I think for Harith on lane to lane matchup against Erical, it's easier for Harith to get
Kalau camp saya tiba-tiba dia winter crown bagi tahu guys.
A lot of the burst damage and the physical damage reduction coming in from the first skill as well.
I don't know, even in the past when Harith was strong, Iritel was still a pretty 50-50 matchup, but we will see. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oi, gambar dia kenapa macam ni guys? Aduh, bapak keruh ha.
Game of MWI 2025, Gaimin Gladiators versus Navi MY.
We're starting things off strong. A lot of damage taken by Ramoon, able to walk out of the way with the revitalize. But now Navi MY showing that
Kaburnya guys. Keruh gambar.
starting things very aggressively. That's what you get when you have a Sayori with a Kemi.
Dia tak pakai dinosaur punya map kan?
Taking control of the
Tengah air tawar ya tu.
Yeah, this Kalea makes a big difference actually. We already talked about how the early Farsa pick was for Navi to make sure they had priority, but the Kimi Kalea combination just does so much damage at level 1, and then the Kalea passive offers you much better trading, means that Gaimin Gladiators has actually regained control over that.
Okay, untuk pengetahuan korang, Gaimin Gladiators guys, ada satu player Malaysia guys, iaitu Arya. Dan Navi ada 4 player Malaysia, satu import daripada Indonesia guys. Jadi kedua-dua pasukan ada Malaysia punya orang guys. Jadi kita layan je guys.
You don't want to play lane to lane kind of aggressions and as well as clashes. So I think for Navi MY, try to play more passively, try to deny that late game potential that Gaimin Gladiators can bring up. Taking a look at emblems, is there anything that speaks out to you, Sadafa?
Looking at the emblem setup overall, there's nothing too unusual.
Tak guna MPM punya apa? Beza dia.
Means that they are
Oh tak.
late game scaling.
Lagi kabur guys gambar nanti. Ini pun dah 4K aku buka guys.
We also have sprint on Panda, so not going for
Tak ada
that
tiba-tiba,
purify
tak
since
tahu
Gaimin Gladiators know they are much more superior in terms of crowd control, even forcing 2 purify takes on Navi instead.
First turn of the game, Nicolette's already in position. Aria level 4.
Ani belum level 4.
Use that final slash.
Turtle nampaknya mudah didapatkan oleh Navi. Oh, first blood Raymond ditumbangkan. Satu trade off. Ini kalau dong barbar. Ayo.
Fairly 50-50 there. Trading first blood for
Tiba-tiba
Turtle
unpause balik
is not too bad either way.
What
But
in the world? Oh, pause balik.
definitely had a better positioning overall. I think
Game mana ni bah?
hoping to be able to just
MWI,
fight Arena,
woman.
get the Turtle, but Lancelot early really doesn't do all that much damage, so it took
Aku
longer
masuk MWI,
than
aku tak tahu.
expected. And now looks like we are going to be jumping into a very quick pause to resolve some technical difficulties.
Yeah. To be honest though, I think Gaimin Gladiators
World Championship of
was
female
not
MLB
actually looking
macam
for
tu
the
guys.
objective takes, because right now it's more of like, let's trade for kills, let's trade for turrets, and I think for Gaimin Gladiators in the late game, that's going to be a huge problem, especially since you have sort of like a better scaling on that Lancelot for damage-wise, and you have the passive rework that Lancelot, Lancelot to just dash around as and when she wants. So this time around, for Navi, are they looking to set up the aggression? Will they look for more kills and try to deny Nicolette from getting that late game Fredrin intimidation?
In one word, yes. Looking at the way these compositions interact, Navi MY is the team that requires a little bit more overall initiative. They do have okay late game scaling, but it's a lot more conditional compared to Gaimin Gladiators because they have that Kimi, they have that Iritel.
Tapi game ni kan, crowd control untuk Gaimin Gladiators sedap guys, sebab banyak kira crowd control hero. Ada banyak sisi.
So Navi MY really cannot afford to allow Gaimin Gladiators to get the farm they're looking for, and that's why GG, aware of this, doesn't need to commit too hard into getting those neutral objectives.
To be honest, what I know this about Navi MY was that they actually adapted to the use of the additional speed buff from the river whenever the turtle spawns up or the objective spawns up. With the Farsa, with the Gato Gacha, they're able to just get into position much faster than what Gaimin Gladiators can do. And Nicolette slowly picking up the pace, and I'm looking at that jungle clear speed, especially from Navi MY. You already have level 5, so Nicolette is actually really holding
game
up.
Game ni kan, Navi nak sedap, dia kena main early to mid. Kalau dia bawa late, agak bahaya.
Well, on paper, CC should be able to do quite well, but after the recent buffs, Arlet is actually capable of sustaining himself in lane. We can see that Sha going for the lane freeze instead. I think that's a very smart choice.
Nicolette dives in, getting taunted up. Airstrike try to push everyone
Oh, Gatot nak lompat lari. Tak dapat. Oh, dapat.
AOG out of the way. Ramoon playing with death just a little bit more as Gaimin Gladiators almost taking one down.
Yeah, that was actually really good spacing of cooldowns coming in from Gaimin Gladiators. They didn't commit all of their abilities at once to try and burst Ramoon down because they know that Gatot is not going to go down that easily. They space it out. They're able to get
Cuma banyak hero yang dapat stokkan hari ni. Arlot dapat.
Just go and play the map instead.
Siapa ni? Ferrin dapat. Kalia lagi. Fede strike. Uish, tak kena. Suffer. Ini berjaya ditumbangkan.
Really well played from Raymond right there. You get engaged on instantly. The unbreakable two-man taunt sets up for the feathered airstrike, and Rina is able to chase down a very important target. The more they can delay the farm on Sayori, the more time Navi MI will have to play around. Because once you get into the late game scaling, this Kimmy is going to become their biggest problem.
Scoreline, economy, equalized as of now. You see a lot of rotations coming in from Gaimin Gladiators. Panda is actually trying to go over to the mid lane, trying to get as much funneling economy.
Alright, turtle yang kedua telah dimulakan oleh Navi. Pada strike Hani menghalau musuh. Final slash bersama Flicker mendapatkan Hani. Lompatan daripada Raymond nampak gayanya. Arya masih lagi hidup. Arya down. Shut down. Dah tak ada retry. Ni guys, kau tengok crowd control. Walau dua untuk satu.
Adjustment from Gaimin Gladiators. When the fight started, it was almost 100% going to be won out by Navi MY, but I think Rina might have missed a puncture, and that ended up costing them a lot of their damage. Gaimin played it slow.
Pakaian turtle kedua tak dapat nak contest oleh Navi.
And used the passive from Kalea to actually prolong the fight,
kerana tak
in which
cukup
they
manpower.
would have the obvious advantage. Trading area to get a free turtle and a kill onto the CC already sets up Gaimin Gladiators exactly where they want to be.
This is the issue, right? You got a final slash. Hold on a second. Fair airstrike won't be able to take Arya out, just to zone her away. But you know, the fair airstrike doesn't really matter as much. Got a tsunami slam into the wall. Sha able to dash out of the way. They're focusing fire on that turret. They need to take that T1 down up the top side. Nicolette trying to zone out the members. Haney and Ramoon can't even get close. They take out that T1 and they get out of the way. That's a drive-by from Gaimin Gladiators.
I'm really liking the rotations from Gaimin right now. Playing the map, going for structure.
Hey! What in the world is happening?
Against them actually, so that's something they'll have to keep in mind. But now Raymond,
Tangkuk guys.
AOG, so he is safe as Revitalize keeps her up.
Why buy purple this and not the VDR?
They have that 5-minute kind of a.
So you dekat draft Navi okay ba? So you kat draft Navi. So you berapa lama tak nampak guys?
Arya should be the answer for the late game side lane split push. So
you
want to send that Arlot over to the side lanes to maintain that priority over these major objective takes. Is that enough though, Sadafa?
I think it's more than enough. Gaimin Gladiators should just win out team fights once you get into the late game because they just have
lagi satu diorang tak tunjuk tu guys. Aku harap nanti group stage laki tu kan dia tunjuk tu perbezaan gol berapa. Ini kena kira-kira sendiri. 1100 guys dipegang oleh Navi MY. Masih lagi keadaan okey-okey untuk kedua-dua pasukan. Kelebihan untuk Navi sedikit kerana telah mendapatkan satu turret di bahagian bawah. Konsil daripada Gaimin Gladiators cuba pick off orang mungkin. Tidak.
Just to scare them away as right now the two marksmen down the mid side as well. Oh, Arya starting things up. Vengeance trying to pull them over.
Pick off. Lompatan daripada Raymond tidak terkena. Nampaknya Shah menjadi tumbangan. Zaman 4 dibuka oleh Fafau.
Nicolette will pick up that kill, but from back line you have Rina trying to dash, swiping away, will not get any kills whatsoever. Gaimin Gladiators still up on top. Sayori
satu untuk dua.
almost taken out as they win out on another trade. But here's the kicker though, and Navi MY still ahead in terms of economy. What's happening, Sadafa?
They're still farming.
Arit tak dapat nak zaman force 3 game ini.
Gladiators have a lot of tools, but that also means that their heroes need multiple members around to make use of those tools. The fact that they're rotating together quite closely means that they're not farming the map quite as effectively. I imagine Fao actually has quite a lot of gold at this point because this Harif has just chosen not to participate in any engagement. Oh!
Oh, coming in.
Oh, Arya
Gaimin
tukar
doesn't have to wait
role
for
guys.
everything.
Main
They
EXP
walk and plants out of the way. Nicolette taking a little bit damage, but they are not targeting onto
Up,
that
Arya.
Arya getting ganked on by 2 down the mid.
Thinking
Down
orang,
the bottom
tak ada
side.
backup.
Shah trying his best, but Arya
hidup lagi.
gets away from harm's way. The turtle getting decimated, and the Lord getting coming up into fray. Navi MY able to zone out into this one. Gaming Gladiators, what is their
Conceal.
play?
Daripada Ashley menggunakan Kalia. Lompatan tidak terkena. Oh, lompatan pada Gatot terkena kepada Fedrin. Ashley menggunakan flicker melarikan diri. Hani dikejar oleh Arya. Arya menjadi tumbangkan oleh Rina menggunakan Lancelot.
And I don't think this Lord will be contestable by GG.
And literally right after I said it, slow it down. You do not need to force things out. Gaimin has tools to pick off members of Navi, but they basically walked into the artillery line there. Feathered Airstrike comes down, they're all grouped up together, and then Arya tries to force herself into the backline to get some sort of pick off when the rest of GG is already backing up.
Dua-dua boleh lah ke? Boleh ke?
I don't think they care. Navi MY just using their bodies to source for more information.
Kita sokong kita je lah.
Party here for Navi, and vision is all they need, because now Gaming Gladiators, they're working hard as a unit and ape strong together. As the girls,
slash Ani telah menggunakan Purify, pick off dilakukan. Ada airstrike di cancel oleh Kimi. Oh, Kimi menjadi tumbangan. Taman Force. Arya down. Double kill mudah dapat oleh Fafau. Ina masuk. Oh, sedikit kucak kacik daripada Gaming Gladiators.
No, that is not how you want to take the fight right now as Gaming Gladiators.
Pakainya lot percuma untuk yang pertama untuk Navi.
I'm honestly seeing some gaps in communication here, where some players are trying to make things happen, but the rest of the team isn't actually following up on it. Are they making the call? Are they just not prepared? Either way, it is costing them dearly, and Navi MY have now built up a pretty sizable gold lead. They have the Lord on their side. Gaimin cannot afford to make mistakes like that anymore.
Fafau is actually coming up online. 2-0-3 for this Harif. We all thought that, you know, it's a gone case for Harif because of the adjustments in the previous patch. But right now, Fafau is actually showing us that Harith is still relevant whenever she comes into the team fights. That is it. I don't
best of berapa ni mah? Best of 3 kawan-kawan.
From the Harith itself, but also the way that she
harap gamenya tak berat sebelah ha.
Show herself up until she knows that she can secure.
Harap ada best of 3 punya game ah.
Mid game itemizations. What are your thoughts, Adafa?
I think it's very greedy of Sayori to go for a Sky Piercer second item when they're not really that much in the lead. Hani has not actually died yet, already has the Genius Wand. We do see the Brute Force breastplate, so Lancelot going for more of the semi-bruiser build, and that is allowing Navi to really prolong these fights.
6,000 gold lead dia pegang oleh Navi sekarang ini. Lompatan daripada Raymond tidak terkena. Arya, kenapa berada seorang diri di hadapan? Adakah gameplay shot sendiri di situ?
Their composition, they're losing.
Dia recruit pada TGG bang.
They're running around like hitless chickens. You have a loose member from
lain guys, lain.
Top Rina doing and making quick work off the long lane. As Gaming Gladiators, they're struggling on that defense. They're starting things up again. 2-man traction pulse into the fray as they pull someone back in. Ray Moon goes down, but
Ashley down, Sayori down. Oh, satu triple kill maniac gagal guys. Dicuri oleh Hani. What in the world? Ada tinggal Arya saja. Adakah Arya akan menjadi harapan yang terakhir? Final slash yang dilakukan Feather Airstrike. Arya bakal ditumbangkan dengan mudah. Rata tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Game pertama dimenangkan oleh Navi MY.
Almost as quickly as it began.
Congratulations to Navi MY. Nice try untuk Gaming Gladiators. Sama-sama kita saksikan game kedua sebentar saja lagi. Jangan lupa like, comment, share bagi pendapat korang. Yang paling penting jangan lupa subscribe. We're gonna see you guys on the second game. Let's go.